Hello, hello. If you can hear me, let me know. Gonna type in chat. As always, if you are tuning in post stream, after stream, feel free to skip on ahead to the timer. When it hits 0, is when we're going to be actually reading the game. This is mostly just for people for live chat. Cool. Who is here? Well, so many people here already. Great. Hello, welcome back Thumper. Welcome back Mango Cheesecake. Nice to see you again. Wiseman303, hello again. Carbonaro, welcome back. Yo, I was just looking into Ars Magica the other day. Yeah, cool. Twilord, welcome. Exomancer, welcome back. Taran Tatsuchi, nice to see you here. Ponyboy, welcome back as well. This game was one recommended to me by a couple of people, and it's one of the older games, so I don't know anything about it, but I'm about to start reading it. CBev, yeah, feel free to fire away. What's your question? And if you haven't gotten a snack or a drink, now's the time. Oh, if there's echo, let me know. Let me figure that out. Twilight says, hey there, I'm looking for some fun background noise while I work on my Visual Studio's character sheet system for my homemade Digimon TTRPG. Cool. Yeah, you could just leave me on in the background, and that'd be great. I have a friend who's very, very much into Digimon. So right now, I think he's looking at a Digimon hack of 5e, which, you know, isn't ideal, but it kind of works. We haven't played it yet. But truly something that has persisted in the last 2 decades is the Digimon fandom. Happy St. George's Day. I don't know who St. George is, but happy day to you. I had you preloaded and I did not realize. Thank you, Thumper. I appreciate that. How would you, as a player and DM, handle the faceless background? I haven't looked at the faceless. Let me look it up. Faceless background. I'm guessing this is from Baldur's Gate. Faceless persona hides behind a mask of a public persona. Most people know you as your persona. Those who seek to learn more about you, your weaknesses, find themselves stymied by your disguise. Just a second persona. It's just basically like a very fancy disguise. For faceless. It's not like multiple disguises. I'm pretty sure it's just one. So I guess if you really want to be a diligent DM for this player, you could write down what impressions the disguise has left on people versus their normal persona, and maybe just play off the people who know the persona versus the people who know the real character. It gets a little bit tricky, but if that's what your character finds fun, if that's what your player finds fun, you know, indulge them a little bit. I don't think it's like broken, like Game of Thrones Arya broken, but it looks fun to have just a second face so you can sneak into places without risking your identity. For everyone else here, wow, what a big stream, what a big number of people for the first Ars Magica stream. I'm guessing there's a lot of people who like this game. Or at least it has a big following. As always, if you guys have played this game before, feel free to correct me whenever you want. This is certainly my first time reading it, but I'm sure I always like when the people watching know more than I do, because they can correct me on things that I misunderstand. Oh, interesting. I like that. I've never read World of Darkness, but I am guessing that it taps into 2 dice. That's just my assumption. I don't know much else about it. I can't help you there, but it sounds cool. Before we switch over to the game, for Splotchy Inc., I have played Pokemon 5e. There is a whole system behind it. It's not perfect. I found it gets a little clunky because there's so many characters on the map, but it was fun for the one shot that I ran for it. I just happened to see the stream on my YouTube homepage. Hadn't seen Caught Any for a while. And I said, welcome back, Taryn. There's always room for more. Paul Bigby, hello. Ars Magica was one of the most impactful RPGs to my sense of what was possible. Also, the bundles of a holding and upcoming Kickstarter might be generating renewed interest. Splotchy says, also Ars Magica is woo boy. It's the opposite of the vast majority of what you've been reading and reviewing as of late. Winkchin, welcome. Winkchin, I saw your email. Thank you for sending it. I'm going to go check out those games probably tomorrow or throughout the week. And if they're really cool, I'll message the authors to see if I can feature them. That'd be very fun. Carbonara says a lot of the lore of Ars Magica was actually integrated into World of Darkness, in particular Mage the Ascension, when it was owned by White Wolf for a bit. Cool. This is all lore that I don't know. But let's jump into it. Without further ado, check out Ars Magica, 5th edition, The Art of Magic. I'm guessing that's what Ars Magica stands for, but I'm not sure. I'm going into this game entirely blind. Ars Magica is one of those games that is very, I don't want to say old, but it's at least 20 years old. I think 5th edition came out in 2005, so we're reading this 19 years after it was published, and obviously the editions before that came in the years prior, so this game is 20 plus years old. Maybe it speaks of a time before a lot of the more recent modern influences. Maybe we'll find some influences in future games from this game, but this game, along with 13th Age, along with Vampire the Masquerade, along with Call of Cthulhu, a lot of those older games that kind of were the backbone to the games that exist right now. This is one of them. And although I know... okay, Ponyboy, you're making fun of me for saying 20 years is an old game. It is! It's 2 decades! A lot changes in 2 decades. A lot has happened in 2 decades. What do you remember from 2004? I don't know if 20... that's a good long distance. Someone who is not 20 is someone who is... born in the 90s, I guess, if I don't dox myself. 20 years ago is a long time. It's more than half of how long I've been alive. There's a lot. I'm reading this game not necessarily to play it, unless it's super duper cool, but mostly to kind of take a peek at a magic system that many have lauded as one of the best ever written. I don't know how that holds up. I've just heard it more than once, so I'm looking at this game in particular kind of as just a resource document to learn how some games handle magic. I feel like a lot of games have very unique, nuanced systems. I remember Witchcraft had such a in-depth system for magic, and I've known other games like Ryutama has like another thing for magic, and every game handles it differently, and there are different levels of depths. But I've heard specifically this game, how it handles magic, it's kind of in the name, is very unique, perhaps foundational, perhaps very complex and nuanced, and that's kind of what I'm reading this for. Not necessarily to ever pick it up, I'm going to be honest, because I have my hands full with the games I'm playing right now. So a lot of what I'm reading recently is mostly to learn. You'll see in the corner right here our previous stream Code Crashers, which is it's a stark difference as as a one-page game versus a 240-page game. There's a lot happening in chat that I'm not keeping up with. I'm gonna read that real quick. Examenter says Saint George is a Crusades era saint said to have slain a dragon with a sword. Ascalon, really cool. Twilight says World of Darkness is a D10 pool, but living down to your vices gets you easy resources, and living up to your virtue gets you bigger resources. Splotchy Inc. says D&D 5e came out 10 years ago. This is very true. I started playing D&D 5e in 2017, so for me that was 7 years ago. Oh my gosh, 7 years ago. Carbonara says, you'll see specifically the Tremere from Vampire the Masquerade originated here for its biggest influence on World of Darkness stuff. Probably. Krug says, I know a decade you were born in. Now I can dox you. I guess. Kinda. Exomancer says, Atlas Games is working on Ars Magica 5e Definitive, which they want to place on an open license sometimes in the next year. So this is pretty good timing. Cool. Splotchy Ink says, how can I say that Ars Magica isn't a magic system? It's a magic stimulation. As in, if you know your stuff, you can potentially do amazing stuff. Interesting. Thumper says the magic system is one part. The troupe play is equally important. I don't know what troupe play is yet, but that is a new word to me, so I'm going to learn about it. Twilord says, do video games age at the same rate as TTRPGs? Because I feel like by that logic, the RPG meets VPET fusion of monster taming games is old. It is. If Pokemon came out in 1999, I think, something around there. Pokemon's like 25 years old. It's ancient. A lot of I as a modern era RPG player, right? I started with D&D 5e. I started in 2017. Anything double that age, so 15 years or older, is an old game to me. It's a game that existed before I realized these games existed. For me, that feels like prehistory, right? Anything after 2017, I don't consider to be an old game just because that's my point of reference. But anything before that, if we're looking at like Apocalypse World, if we're looking at the first instances of Traveler, of World of Darkness, 13th Age, Shadowrun, all those games feel old to me because they were before I realized they ever existed. And that's just a perspective thing. I know a lot of people here have been playing for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, who really knows? And those games don't feel old to you, but that just means you're old. That just means you're old. What's up, Greg? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for always emailing us about our podcast episodes. We don't get too much emails or fan mails for the podcast, but the ones that we do, we read every single one. Even if we don't respond to them, we do just read and discuss every email we get. So, wow, all you guys are flexing your age. So I'm just gonna let you guys do that. People can read your things in the chat as it files through. Yeah, I the reason I'm doing this now is so that in 5 years I can be like, I read 100 tabletop RPGs. What did you do? You know, I can be that old fart who said I read so much and learned so much, and you know, right now I'm the new guy, but eventually I'll be the old guy. Anyway, this game is created by these guys, currently published by Atlas Games, as I believe Exomancer said. This was written in 2005. That's old. That is old, guys. You can't say that's not old. 2005 is old. In the age of tabletop RPGs, in the mass exposure era of Critical Role and Stranger Things, and I guess Community kind of counts in that bundle. Anything before that is ancient history. Let it be known. Breno Familia says, hello from Brazil. Love your videos. Wow, nice to see you here. Thank you for tuning in. What time is it for you? Oh, actually, you're probably in the same time zone as me. That's pretty funny. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to be a grognard like everybody else in this chat. Anyway, this game has 240 pages. Golly, we're not going to look at all of them. We're going to be here till 10 p.m. EST max. I'm going to look at what I think is interesting. Probably characters will be interesting to me. Virtues and flaws might be cool. Definitely looking at this Covenant Hermetic Magic Laboratory Spells section is something I would love to look into. Spells Index, just to see how detailed it gets. Mythic Europe. I'll be honest with you, medieval fantasy is not my jam right now. It's fun, but lately I've been playing a lot more modern settings, even like a little spacefaring, a little urban fantasy. I've played 5-6 years of medieval Europe type fantasies, and I've played my fill of them for now. So any game that kind of focuses on this specific fantastical world, a little less appealing compared to things like, you know, Goat Crashers. So all of you people talking about Pokemon games from the bygone eras, I was there for Red, Blue, and Yellow. Although I wasn't allowed to have a Game Boy because my parents didn't want me to get into video games too early. I played on my friends. So I've been following Pokemon as long as it has existed. I wish I could prove it, but I can't because I don't have a face cam, but I have just a plethora of Gengar merchandise from over the past 2 decades because he's the best. He's the real mascot of the game. And I won't take any other opinions on that. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's figure out what this game... Oh my gosh, I just got hit by a massive paragraph. What font size is that? Okay. I'm going to read this instead. Instead of this blurb, I'm going to read this. Let's do it. Welcome to Ars Magica. Am I pronouncing it right? Ars Magica? Ars Magica? Is it Ars Magica? Is it Ars Magica? Ars Magica. Anyway. Dragon's lair in the mountains, angels watch over the church, fairies dance in the forest, and demons tempt men and women to their ultimate downfall. The magi of the Order of Hermes live in a world of mythic power, the world of Mythic Europe. Welcome to that world. Well, it's literally Europe. Welcome to Ars Magica. Ars Magica is a role-playing game wherein you and your friends tell the stories of a group of powerful wizards. Oh, specifically wizards. Cool. Magi of the Order of Hermes and their allies in the world of Mythic Europe. Mythic Europe is much like the Europe of 1220. 1220. What the heck was going on in 1220? What the heck was going on in 1220? Important things in Europe in 1220. Honestly, kind of boring things. It was a leap year though. Genghis Khan invades China, conquers Persia, invades Russia, and dies in 1227. That was pretty cool. Hi, Ars Magica. I've spotted you. Anyway, let's get back to the PD. Anyway, Ars Magica is a game about, in the Middle Ages, but dragons, demons, angels, and fairies are all unquestionably real, and no aspect of society is untouched by myth. Cool. Ars Magica is a game about magic, and its rules for magic are widely regarded as the best in any role-playing game. They combine flexibility and rigor, allowing you to create powerful wizards who can do almost anything, while providing clear guidelines on just how powerful a wizard needs to be to do anything you can think of. The rules also cover the creation of enchanted devices, binding familiars, and training apprentices to carry on your magical legacy. The time in Ars Magica Magus spends in this laboratory is at least as important to him as the time he spends on adventures. This book is the core rulebook for the 5th edition of Ars Magica. Some of you will have played previous editions and will find much here that is familiar, although improved. For others, this is your first encounter with Ars Magica, so everything will be new and wonderful. First things first, kind of cool. Everybody's a mage. Everybody's a wizard. I'm guessing there's no knights, no barbarians, no rogues. I don't know. Everybody does magic. That's really important, apparently. The DM is called the story guide in this game. These seem relatively straightforward. First, the available character types are not equal in power. Hermetic magi are far more powerful than other possible player characters. Power does not necessarily correspond to how interesting a character is to play, and the gift that allows magi to work magic also causes them problems in social situations. Interesting. So there's specifically an unequal power balance between the characters. Kind of like Lord of the Rings. How Gandalf has like all these magical powers and everybody just straight up doesn't. So, interesting angle. Second, most players have more than one character. Oh, look at that. Huh. This is called troupe-style role-playing and is discussed in detail in the Sagas chapter. The role a story guide may also pass around the group or troupe, and player characters are divided between central characters, magi and companions, and supporting cast, grogs. Oh, look at that. A player would normally play one central character at a time, but might play several grogs at once. Okay, so it's like So a troupe is like one main character or one dude that everybody focuses on specifically, or like is central to most storylines, but they can also invent a whole lot of characters to surround them as kind of NPCs to flesh out the group. That's kind of neat. That sounds very Lord of the Rings, but yeah. Great, cool, nice. Art, cool, nice, kind of wicked. Stress die. I have zero context for this stress die. Where does this belong? Oh, here. Okay. Okay, so. Oh my gosh, the tense. Compared to Goat Crasher, the text is so dense. I do like chunky games. I do like games with a lot of nuance and a lot of rules. But if I'm not going to commit 20 games to playing it, then I might not want to learn it. But that's just me. So, I don't have any context for this yet. So let's read this. Third of the game is normally centered around a place where characters live called a covenant, rather than a wandering group of adventurers. Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like a stationary type setting. This opens up a whole set of new story possibilities, and the Covenant is as much a character in the game as any of the human beings. Finally, characters in Ars Magica improve over years of game time, and most sagas cover at least a few years of game time. I just said that. Oh, games last a few years as well as like in-game. Adventures are occasional interruptions in their lives, not everyday activities, and consequences that come years down the road can still have an impact on an ongoing series of connected stories called a saga. In many sagas, families grow, children grow up, and characters die of old age. Is this Stardew Valley? Is this magical Stardew Valley? Or maybe magical Fire Emblem? Where there's like generations of people in a single town? Guys, if you told me this was Stardew Valley, I would have been sold on it earlier. Ars Magica's rules provide plenty of support for the ways that characters can study, learn, and improve over time. Ars Magica is particularly well suited to long-running sagas and can be played as a one-off, one-session game or a mini-series of connected stories. Something Medieval Europe, something Mythic Power. Great. Ars Magica is a game. True. Okay, so I want to know how dice roll. I feel like that's important. Maybe I'll glance over Order of Hermes just to understand the setting a little better. I am interested in characters because they discuss that there's uneven power level characters. Maybe the structure of the Order of Hermes like determines how many powerful people are allowed to be in a group or a troop. I don't know, but this is telling me what to read. I'm going to go to rolling dice. Die rolls. The success or failure of most actions a very, very dark Stardew Valley. Thank you. The success or failure of most actions is in a story is determined by rolling dice. For non-magical actions, the roll is normally characteristic, I'm guessing that's an ability score, plus ability, I'm guessing that's a skill, plus die roll against an ease factor. If the total equals or exceeds the ease factor, the action succeeds. Sure, so ease factor is kind of like DC. Difficulty check. The amount by which the result exceeds the ease factor gives some indication of how successful the action was. Magic uses the same basic rules, but there are special rules for determining what to add to the die roll and the number that the total must beat. So magic is the same thing but more complicated. Simple die. Roll a 10-sided die. Each number counts for its value, except that a 0 counts as 10. Oh, okay, cool. Stress die. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's break this down. Stress dice. Stress dice are rolled when a character is under stress, and this might succeed spectacularly or fail with equal flair. Such a significant failure is called a botch and always has serious effects. For a stress roll, roll a 10-sided die. 1 and 0 have special meanings, but the other numbers count for their value as normal. On a roll of 1, roll again and double the number rolled. If the reroll is also a 1, roll again and quadruple. On second and subsequent rolls, a 0 counts as 10. On second and subsequent rolls, a 0 counts as 10. But I thought a 0 always counts as 10. Why would they specify that it counts as... I don't know, whatever. If a player rolls 10 consecutive 1s, the number rolled on the 11th throw would be multiplied by 1024. Stress die totals in the hundreds are likely to happen a handful of times in a long-running saga. On the first roll, 0 counts as 0. Okay. And you must normally roll for a botch. Roll a number of 10-sided dice determined by a situation, called the botch dice. And if any of them show 0, you have botched. If you roll no zeros on the botch dice, the die roll is simply a 0. Let me try that one more time. On the first roll, 0 counts as 0. Yeah. Normally roll for a botch. Roll a number of 10-sided dice determined by the situation, called the botch dice. So all of these dice you're rolling are botch dice. And if any of them show 0, you have botched. Okay, so when you roll a 0, then you roll botch dice. And if any of those botch dice are 0, then you have botched. Okay, so the first 0 doesn't count as a botch, but the ones you roll after them can botch. If you roll no zeros on the botch dice, the dice roll is simply a 0. Sure. Some stress rolls cannot botch. In that case, a 0 on the initial roll is simply a roll of 0. Simply if a character has qualities to reduce the number of applicable botch dice to 0, the stress dice cannot botch. Sure. On a botch, your total for the roll is always 0. In addition to any other consequences. If you roll a 0, but do not botch, the total is calculated as normal, adding 0 from the die roll. Sure. Okay, I kind of get it. What are the examples? Okay, botching seems really hard. I mean, look, you have 10 botch dice, and your chance to botch are like still 6.5. So let's do an example, right? I'm gonna go back to Chrome, and let's just pretend that I botched, right? Let's just pretend that I botched. So I would roll a 10, and let's pretend that this number is 0, right? So I did the hardest thing possible. I tried to juggle second hardest. I tried to juggle 5 full cups of wine while 4 dancing bears confort around me. So juggling around bears is 9 botch dice. So if any of these dice hit a 0, then I have botched. I'm going to roll 9 of these, and I don't think any of them are going to hit 0. All right, 3 of them did. Okay, 3 of them did. These odds are crazy. Okay, sure. Never mind. I immediately proved myself wrong. I'm gonna try one more time. Okay, 2 of them this time. Chance of botch. 6.1. Do these odds seem right? Why is the chance of botch... Okay, never mind. I'm not going to try to do math here. I'm not here to do math. What do you think? You think just because I play tabletop RPGs, I like math? That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out even the first one. Number of botch dice. The 1% odds with the 1 botch. I'm guessing that's the odds of rolling a 0 and then a 0 again, right? This is 1%. And then the next one is 0. And then 1 0 out of 2 is what I'm assuming is the odds. And I'll do it one more time just to prove my point. I don't think I'll get any 10s on this one, but the odds are theoretically 6%. Well, actually, no, because these odds are taking into account that I've already rolled a 0. So the odds of this is technically, let's do this. Odds of rolling two zeros, which is 10 dice. No. This isn't, screw it. This is not gonna this is not gonna happen. Math doesn't work. If this is a 10, let's assume that's a 10, right? Then the odds of rolling another 10 is 6.1 if I roll 9 dice. So I'll probably get a 10. There, I got one. Okay, sure. Okay, whatever. That kind of makes sense. It's the odds of rolling 2 10s out of 9 plus 1 dice. Anyway, these are difficulty scales. Kind of makes sense. I'm not even going to go into this. This is just difficulty checks. Everybody knows what this is. Great. Okay. The botch, these chance of botch is unintuitive, I think, but also maybe I'm just dumb. Oh my gosh, lore. Here we go. Bonisigus, the brilliant 8th century magus who developed the Ars Magica and with the help of other founders, the whole of Hermetic magic, the founder of House Bonisigus. Okay. The church, all Christians, whether priests or not, also used to refer specifically to organizational structures of the church in Western Europe. Oh, so this is like hard lore. I see. Okay. Gauntlet. In full, the apprentice's gauntlet. The final test administered to an apprentice to determine whether he is ready to become a magus. It differs significantly between houses. Grog, a game term used to referring to supporting player characters. Characters also use it, but mainly to refer to warriors employed by a covenant. Hedge magic, a contemptuous term used within the Order of Hermes for any magic other than Hermetic magic. Then what is Hermetic magic? Hermetic magic is the extremely powerful and flexible magic practiced by the members of the Order of Hermes. This is very vague, but I'm sure it'll be explained to me. Oh, I'm still on the dice. Thank you, Splotchy Ink. Oh my gosh. This is why we have chat. I've been reading this. This is lore. Thank you guys. Glossary. So this is like just hard lore terms that will be used throughout the rest of the book. Thank you guys. You guys are just typing. There's a 15-second delay. When you guys type it in chat, expect me not to react for at least 15 seconds and then count a couple more seconds for when it takes me to look at chat and realize I'm messing up. But anyway, this is lore. This is stuff that's important to the setting. Most important words that I've seen come up over and over again is the where are you? Order of Hermes, an order of wizards stretching across the whole of Mythic Europe, bound by an oath, keeps them from fighting each other or trying to rule the mundanes. Ooh, the mundanes. That's a derogatory term. one of the most central organizations in the game. Magus, magi. Oh wow, something didn't age here. A member of the Order of Hermes who can use hermetic magic, used by both players and characters. Maga is the feminine form, magus the masculine, and magi the plural. And the rest of this is lore. Great. Order of Hermes. Okay, don't tell anyone, but I'm not reading this. I'm just gonna... It's an organization of magi that spans across Mythic Europe. There's a lot of practice of magic. I'm assuming the first was the effect of the gift. I'm assuming someone discovered magic, right? And then they taught people, and then everyone learned magic, right? That's just the gist of it. Eventually there was a cult, because magic should be consolidated to very few people, is the belief. And then people shut down the cult because cults are bad. The cult tore itself apart soon after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Sure, that checks out for me. Foundation of the Order of Hermes more than 3 centuries later was some sort of peace agreement, I'm assuming, to make sure that mages don't kill each other. It's like a Hippocratic oath kind of thing, like a do no harm type deal. I'm seeing here chicken parmesan. So the first was the discovery of chicken parmesan, which defended a wizard from the magic of others and shielded him from the antipathetic effect of their gifts. Safe behind the parmesan, a wizard could talk to another gifted, capital G, individual with little fear of attack and without having to constantly fight the natural tendency to lapse into envy, suspicion, and hostility. So I'm guessing that magic makes people bad. And the chicken parmesan prevents people from feeling the badness that comes with magic. Yeah? Am I on the right track here? If you realize that the Parmesan could create a true society of magi possible, a society where wizards could meet to resolve their differences and live and work together. Okay, so someone discovers magic brings madness. Someone discovers cure to madness to allow society to actually exist with many mages. Trianoma traveled across Europe, seeking out the most powerful wizards. This seems pretty straightforward. Now what exists, I'm assuming, is the Order of Hermes, which is a whole lot of really important dudes. It seems like there's 12 of them that are important, and you choose which one you really like. I'm assuming everyone has their favorites, and that's cool. And now we are one of these magi, magus, maga, who now do magic and exist in a society of mages. Greg says, sounds like she wanted to create a gathering of sorts for magic. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Okay, crises, obviously. Corruption, yes, of course. Schism, natural. Houses of Hermes, I'm not going to read this. I know Bonasagus is one that they love. Everyone loves Bonasagus. Everyone loves Bjornir. Cremion Flambeau, he's probably the guy who makes the chicken parmesan, is what I'm guessing. House Ex Miscellanea, for the people who want to be anything else. Oh, it is! Look at that! This is a large, diverse, and highly disorganized collection of magi. Sign me up! Sign me up for people who don't know what they want to do with magic. It's very funny. Okay. And the rest are, I'm assuming, squares. Magic people who don't care. Wow, the Hermetic Oath! Isn't this exactly what the Hippocratic Oath is? Okay, let me see if I can find do no harm somewhere here. Right there. Will not endanger the order through my actions. What else? I will not attempt to slay nor attempt to slay any member of the Hermetic Oath is just a Hippocratic Oath with magic. I know this stuff. I predicted this. Great. Cool. Covenants, Code of Hermes, peripheral code. Somebody's personal lore has arrived in this game. Wow. Interfering with mundanes. This section feels a little bit out of touch. I'm not going to read this out loud. Tribunals, Grand Tribunal, Scrying, Apprentices, Regional Tribunals, Peasants, Church, Cities. Oh my gosh, this is a lot of lore. Tell me how to play the game. Here we go. Ponyboy says, the chicken parm does always cure everyone's antipathy now that I think about it. This is true. This is true. The players in this game fall into 3 categories depending on their role in the story. Magi are members of the Order of Hermes, the powerful wizards around whom the game centers. Companions are important characters who are not magi, while grogs are minor characters. Most players in Ars Magica have at least... I'm going to sneeze, sorry, seasonal allergies. Most players in Ars Magica have at least 2 characters and often more, although they do not play all of them at once. The characters to be played depend on events in the saga, and this is discussed in more detail in the section on troupe-style role-playing on page 219. We're on page 17 right now. We're on page 17. Anyway, magi, magic people. Companions, non-magus. Player character companions belong to a single player. Sure. And grogs. Although each player has a magus, and a companion, they are almost never played together, and thus should not be linked to each other. Although each player has a magus and a companion, they're almost never played together. Oh, interesting. So it's like, in your troop, have a magi and have a companion, but don't make your companion the companion to your magi. It works better if you pair them up with another player's magi or companion, just because playing your own assistant is less fun than playing as someone else's assistant. Cool. And grogs are minor characters. Great. Character basics. Size. All characters have a size score. However, almost all human characters have the same size score 0, as this represents the average adult human. Every 3 points of size represents a 10-fold increase or decrease in mass, and adult humans can raise from size -2 to size +2 if they take appropriate virtues or flaws. That sounds like... Okay. Virtues and flaws are features of the character that are not shared by most people. Special benefits in case of virtues, and disadvantages or hooks into stories for flaws. They cover supernatural abilities, including the gift, enemies, obsessions, and aptitudes, as well as much more. There are 8 characteristics. So these are like the ability scores. Okay, let's look at what they split this into. Intelligence. Makes sense. This is a mage game. Intelligence is very important. Let's see here. Intelligence, perception. Cool. The ability to notice things. Strength, physical power, makes sense. Stamina, similar to constitution, as a lot of us are familiar with. Presence is a charisma. We're also familiar with this. Communication, interesting. So presence and communication are different here. Communication is the ability to speak to people. The ability to form relationships and communicate. That's nice. I like how that's different from presence. Because like what? Like an orc or like an ogre troll bridge monster can have really high presence but poor communication. Interesting difference. Dexterity we recognize. Quickness. Quickness is different from dexterity. Quickness is the ability to react. And dexterity is the ability to manipulate accurately and skillfully. Great. So it's like the 6 from D&D, except communication is the ability to have relationships with people, and quickness is the ability to react. Nice. Okay. Skipping ahead. You can roll for personality. Fun. Reputation. Cool. Reputation is how famous your character is. Confidence. Confidence score. Confidence points. So you can gain confidence and then spend it to improve your role. Okay. It seems that confidence seems like a mini inspiration. Yeah, so it's like a mini inspiration. It adds +3 to your roll, which is huge when you're dealing with D10s. And it's an expendable resource that does not automatically generate. Oh, look at this word. Decrepitude. So the format of a character is, I'm guessing this is like character sheet. What the heck is decrepitude? Let's Google it. Decrepitude. The fact of being in very bad condition because of being old or not have been cared for or having been used a lot. I guess being old is a relevant stat in a mage wizard game. So there's age and then there's decrepitude. These are gained from aging as described on page 170. Why would aging be described in this book? Interesting. Okay, whatever. Warping score. The character's warping score, with the number of excess warping points in parentheses. Warping points measure a character's exposure to magic and have bad effects if you gain too many. Interesting. So this is also affecting... There seems to be a pretty noted focus on the repercussions of reckless magic, and warping score and decrepitude seem to be my first two hints that this is important. Soak, the character's soak score, I have no idea what that means. Wound penalties, okay, more signs that magic hurts. Twilight scars, another sign that magic hurts. Long-lasting effects of Wizard's Twilight. This is only applicable to Hermetic Magi, described in detail on page 88. Spells known, customization notes. Okay. This is grog templates, and I've been bludgeoned by numbers. Thumper, this book has 240 pages. We were doomed from the get-go. So I gotta say, maybe this is just a sign of the times, or maybe just did it poorly. This is so hard to read. There's so much formatting that could be done here to make this more legible. But these are just examples of grogs you can have with you, so you don't have to make them yourself. I'm assuming this is so that you can make them en masse and not have to worry about them. The modern era stat blocks are very, very nice. This is harder to read. So hard that I'm not going to read it. Yeah, look, this is, well, you can look at the rogue as an example. Int 0, perception 1, golly, I forgot what that means already. Presence 0, communication +1, strength -1, stamina 0, Dexterity +4, quickness +4. Decrepitude 0, warping score 0, confidence score 1, wanderer, great dexterity, great quickness, improved characteristics ×2, light touch, perfect balance, puissant, légèrement. What does this mean? That's a word that I've never heard before. Let's try it. I don't know what any of these were. Okay, let's just try the first word. Everyone together. What's the first word? Having great power or influence.
Puissant.
Great, that's how you say it. And then, how do you say this word? Skillful use of one's hand when performing conjuring tricks.
Legerdemain.
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 Legerdemain. A deception trick. So like a magician type guy. So having great power or influence. Skillful use of one's hands when performing conjuring tricks. That's what this is. And there's more. But yeah, this I don't know what any of these words mean, so I will not dwell on it. A lot of cool stat blocks. This is cool art, but there's a lot of words. I'm flinching at how many numbers are on screen right now. Spells. Phantom of the Talking Head, Aura of Ennobled Embrace, Piercing the Fairy Veil, Piercing the Magical Veil, Unraveling the Magic of Imaginem. A lot of these names are very long. That's cool. Obliteration of the Metallic Barrier, Circle of Encompassing Flame, Hands of the Grasping Earth. Again, I haven't switched back to this tab. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you again. Again, 15 seconds. You got to give me 15 seconds before I recognize to switch back. But I'm just looking at names of spells here. I don't know what they do yet. I'm just saying that this is a lot to process. Like fatigue, like this. I guess this isn't meant to be read as much as it is to be just have, and then just circle what your fatigue level is. Okay, great. I'm not going to dwell on this. This is a lot. We already kind of know about this. Cool. Starting character age. There's rules for age. Sure. Hermetic houses. Where's our jam? Here. X miscellanea is our favorite. Yes. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna make a character because this seems complicated. Advancement table. To buy experience points? This doesn't seem like the interesting part of the game, so I'm just gonna skip it. If you guys can tell me what the interesting part of the game is, and please don't say extremely complex character generation, because I have less than 40 minutes and I'm not gonna go through this. Wow. Very cool. I'm glad that this is an option because I know people like this. And if someone told me there was an extremely complex character generation for 5th edition D&D, I would try it at least once, right? I'd try it at least once. But right now, not my jam. Cool, this is an example character. Great. Virtues and flaws. I will not dwell on this. Virtues. Now, are all these different things, or oh, they do define every single one? Wow. So all of these have different traits. I thought these were just descriptive words, but they actually have mechanical benefits depending on what you choose. Look at that. This is a lot. That's why there's so many pages. We're on page 43 only. There's 200 more pages of this. It has felt like a brick wall so far. Okay, I'm skipping to magic. Where's magic? Hermetic magic. Do you know what the gift is? The capacity to work magic is known as the gift among Hermetic magi. Only people with the gift can be taught Hermetic magic, but not all of them learn it. Many Hermetic magi say that people with minor mystical abilities have a partial gift, but it is not clear that the source of their power is the same as that of magi. People with the gift may be taught non-Hermetic magic instead, but it is also almost impossible for one person to learn two kinds of magic. The gift is very rare, appearing in perhaps one person in 10,000. Magi have many theories as to the cause of the gift, but none of these are generally accepted. Okay. Great. So it's kind of like the Force is the vibe I'm getting. You just kind of have it 1 in 10,000 odds, and learning how to use it is a lifelong endeavor that requires proper control, responsibility, and societal expectations, right? That's the general gist of the gift. It's the Force. Splotchy Ink says, as mentioned, it's not a magic system, it's a magic simulation. This is one of those books you don't read the day before the campaign. This book is practically a spell book. Thumper says, it is made for campaign play. Everyone is invested because everyone has a wizard. They are incentivized to deal with the complexity. I get it. So this is as somebody who's reading this for the first time, right? I know I'm joking around as I'm reading it and saying, "Oh, this is so dense. This is like too much." But my impression of this game so far is that after you make your character, of course, after you have your vision of your character, you kind of slowly learn what is possible with magic. And that comes with having an interest, and then delving into that interest, and then trying to craft spells for it, and then looking into the lore of those spells and that magic, and looking into the complexities of that magic. And this book, its goal is to provide some sort of answer or direction or guidance as to what kind of magic you want to cast. And the fun in it is being able to create magical situations that lend themselves to your imagination, right? And this is a way to have a structured, nuanced guide on how to bring that magic forth in a way that is rewarding, in a way that respects how much time you spent crafting it. It's almost like the point I bring up about 5th edition D&D, right? Some people say that book is too complicated. There's too much to learn. There's too much to break down. But the feeling of reward comes from the mastery of the system, right? Does that make sense? It comes from the ability to read the possibilities, to concoct for yourself a game plan, whether that be combat or some sort of goal you want to reach, and acquiring the tools to be able to accomplish that, and then accomplishing it, right? And the accomplishment of that moment, that achievement that you gain, could only have been gained through research, through diligent theory crafting, through trial and error. Some people enjoy the process, right? And there's a lot of games out there, a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games, just as an example, will just say, hey, if you want to levitate, you just can, right? That's just part of your power. Just do it. It's fiction forward. No need to roll for it. If levitating is your power, then you can just do it, right? But games like this are like, all right, how are you levitating? What magic are you using for that? What intricacies or patterns are you creating to bring forth that type of magic? And only through
diligent study can you figure out how to do that, and that's part of the reward, right? It's part of the reward. That's what I think I'm understanding about this. It's very, very dense. I feel like I've read 3 books worth of pages here, and we're only 80 pages in. So like things about the limit of the infernal, the limit of time, the limit of energy. So mastering one of these so said like schools of magic or lesser limits, I suppose, requires quite a bit of effort. Yeah, I'm liking what you're saying, you two. Splotchy Ink and Thumper. Splotchy Ink says there's a bit of an issue with D&D that isn't its fault. It's the perpetuation of build videos to take the fun of discovery out of the game. I like build videos, but I don't usually follow them to a T. A lot of people enjoy that type of content to see what's possible, but I love getting into the weeds of the wording, of the interpretations of the abilities. I love seeing how things interact that normally would never intersect between races, between like ancestries and classes and features. Like workshopping a grappling monk for me was one of those situations where I was deep in the weeds for hours in the rules of D&D because I wanted to make a monk who's traditionally bad at strength checks a grappling person, which is mostly athletics, which is mostly strength leaning. So I would dive into Astral Elf Monk. Astral Arms Monk, which could use wisdom for athletics checks. Then I would lean into Shifter, which gives me advantage on wisdom checks. And then I would lean into how I would get expertise, which would be through the skilled feat or something else. And it's like this wiry contraption of a creature, of a theory craft that I wanted to see put in motion, is part of the reward, right? And that's the appeal of a game like this. Well, I'm not really a watch build video type guy, and all respect to Colby on D4 Deep Dive, all respect to Pack Tactics. Those are really cool dudes. All respect to Trait Monk, of course, in the 5e sphere. They're great. I like how they think, but also I like to figure it out on my own. So, there's so much to read from chat. You guys are helping me a lot. Thumper says, the power trip comes from making whatever kind of wizard fits your dream. You come together to make that possible. Cool. Heritage 367 says, at its core, Ars is about living with roommates. I get it, right? I feel like this is, you know what energy I get from this? If we were to jump this into the modern era, this feels like a Minecraft server. Are you following my analogy here? This feels like a Minecraft server where there's 3 or 4 dudes who have a vision of what they can create, who have like an idea in their mind of what this world could look like, what they could build and achieve and accomplish. And those things that they want to do might not necessarily sync. They could have 3 different visions, but those visions will be happening simultaneously and will sometimes interact with each other and will sometimes intersect or interfere with each other. And that building process together is part of the fun. It's not so much adventuring or traveling or witnessing the world as much as it is building up the foundations of an existence together in one spot. I'm trying to see if I'm hitting the touchstones of this game, because that's what I've been trying to figure out here. And as you build more, you get the rules of building, you understand construction rules, you understand resources, you understand gathering of supplies, you understand obstacles and enemies that you might run into, getting more powerful, dealing with the side effects of perhaps unaligned divisions, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing. I thank you for your comments, guys. I'm seeing it. Casting spells. I think this page is actually really cool to me. No, this is actually one of the more interesting pages. I know we haven't even talked about it. We've been just sitting on it for like 5 minutes, but this is. Give me a second to sneeze and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so the limits of magic is a fun concept to me, right? Because it tells you the upper echelon of what is possible in this world. And once you're given the ceiling, so to speak, then you have kind of a scope on how powerful magic is. Once you're given the different ceilings of the world, then it's like, okay, so if that's the ceiling, then anything beneath that is attainable, right? Limiting the scope of what is possible within a setting establishes a better foundation for realistic expectations from the players. So like, if this was like a mutant superhero type of game, you could say that the limits of superpowers is you cannot control time, you cannot have super speed, and you cannot be a nuclear bomb. But anything beneath that is fair game. And suddenly people start thinking about around the box, within the box, being like, all right, if those aren't possible, maybe I could have a lesser form, or maybe I could have something that mimics it, or maybe I could work towards it and fail catastrophically, right? To be able to put bounds on a setting allows for the flourishing of a realistic goal, and that's kind of cool. So here it says, which I've never seen before in any book, at least in any tabletop RPG, specific limits to specific schools of magic. So limit of time. Hermetic magic is incapable of altering the passage of time. Awesome. That's exactly what I said. So chronomancy is impossible. It cannot affect anything in the past and can only affect the future by making changes in the present. This limit also means that hermetic magic cannot scry on the past or future. Most magic, I think this derives from the limit of the divine. Is the limit of the divine here? It's not. Oh, here. The limit of the divine. Hermetic magic cannot affect the divine. Any magic attempting to do so simply fails. Everyone agrees that hermetic powerlessness in the face of miracles is a result of this limit. Oh, sick. As is the inability of hermetic magic to affect the transubstantiated bread and wine of the mass. The agents of the divine, such as saints and angels, are protected from magic to some extent, but are not normally completely immune. As a general rule, it seems that any being with a will separate from God's can be affected by magic, at least in principle. Only direct action by God is completely immune. So there's this kind of holy ward that protects agents of God, so to speak, or agents of the divine from being affected by magic, at least in part. Limit of aging. Hermetic magic cannot halt or reverse natural aging, although it can slow down and mitigate its effects. That means hermetic magic cannot remove decrepitude. Most magic, I think, this derives from the limit of essential nature. Cool. Cool. So it's like these are putting like realistic expectations of what magic is possible. So no immortality, no control of time, basically nothing that what I'm saying this prevent is like, hey, no breaking the rules upon which our setting stands, you know? No trying to cheat the system, crack the code, and be all powerful, almighty. No builds that break the game type of energy, right? That's what I'm seeing from this.
Okay, so it's 9:41. There's no way I'm getting through most of this. There's a lot going on here. Clearly a lot of magic dueling rules, which I'm not going to get into.
Oh, what is all this?
Okay, whatever. Golly, there's so much. Let me just find some spells to read, and I might just call it a night. Spells index.
Look at that.
You know what would be really cool? If after playing this game for a long time, you start memorizing these spells. These are long names. I think if this game was really cool and I got into it and I had players who played it and like a community who played it, memorizing these spells would feel kind of cool because they're nice and long. Oh, I thought it was just one page. I'm sorry. There's more. That's another full page of spells. Give me a third? Oh no, only 2 pages. Let's try 149-ish. Here, spells. A 2-parter? We'll see. We'll see. I just want to see. Give me a spell. I want to see a spell. Oh, here's some spells. Oh, these are healing spells. I don't want to see healing spells. I want to blow something up. Oh, here's one. Simple spell. Cloak of Black Feathers, level 30. Requirement, animal. You hang a small cape of raven feathers on your back and transform into a raven. You can resume human form at will, but doing so ends a spell. Give me some blow up spell. Blow up spells. Rise of the Feathery Body. Allows the target to float vertically to any height, carrying up to 50 pounds, and rising as fast as smoke rises, slower if carrying a heavy load. The target cannot move horizontally through this spell. Wizard's Autumn. All the deciduous leaves, that is, those that normally fall in autumn, on the target plants turn brown and fall to the ground. The full process takes a minute. The spell can affect a small grove of trees. The trees do not bud again until next spring. Moonbeam. Grants a gentle light, bright enough to read by, to shine down from above and illuminate the area described by your encircled arms. Lasts as long as you hold your arms in a circle. Alright, I'm gonna look for some powerful ones here. Ball of Abysmal Flame. Ball of Flame shoots from your hand to strike a target, dealing plus 30 damage. Marius of Tremir's version of the spell causes the ball to make a loud bang when it hits the target. His sigil is a gaudiness in this spell. Hornet Fire. Turns a fire into a swarm of fireballs, each the size of a large insect, that fly and harass at your command. Their burning touch gives all those you indicate within 7 paces of the fire both a -3 on all rolls and 2 extra botch dice. Oh look, it adds botch dice. But they do not cause actual damage. Light Shaft of the Night. Collects moonbeams and starlight into a single vertical shaft of soft silvery light that moves under your control. It illuminates an area 15 paces across with light, nearly equal to sunlight if the moon is out, or moonlight if the moon is not out. If the sky is overcast, the spell does not work. can only be cast under the night sky. Cool. And the spells just keep going. Okay. I think I'm going to start wrapping up the stream now. All right, this game. Just about 20 years old. Ars Magica is a game, from what I can tell, about a very distinct setting based on a mythical, magical medieval Europe that focuses on a gang of friends who are magicians. Every player at the table plays a collection of characters, usually one magi, one companion, and a bunch of grogs to fill out a small community powered by magic. And if you're playing Hermetic magi, you are all in agreement to not hurt each other as you pursue your own individual bouts of magic. And your vision can be different from your allies, it can be different from your friends. You could be working towards a specific spell that's in the book, or you write your own. There are spell duels against other mages. There are ability scores or characteristics that define how strong you are. There are the obvious repercussions of using magic, which is decrepitude, which is warping score, which is twilight scars, I believe. There's many ways for it to go wrong, and that's kind of the fun in it. You see before you a rubric under which you can have infinite possibilities. This game feels like a giant sandbox for mages, a place where they can experiment and do weird things and be in accountability with other mages as well, and just achieve their wildest dreams under the magic granted to them by the gift that they possess, and whatever divine thing provides magic in the first place. So, is this a game worth playing? I mean, people have been playing it for 20 years and still like it. There's people in chat right now who really like the game. So, finding a community to play this game might be a little bit tricky just because it's so old, but it's not impossible because there are still people playing it. People still sign off by this game and treat it as something that is distinctly unique because of how they frame magic, how they house magic, and how they allow it to flourish. From what I understand from chat, the definitive version of this game is coming out next year. If you're still interested, will I pick this up? Probably not, but I've learned a lot about how games like to frame magic and how people would like to enjoy the exploration of creating the spell that is exactly what you're looking for. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in. This is an interesting one. This is game, I think, 38. This is game 38 of 99 more. We're almost at 40, including playtests. We've covered just under 50 different games in the last year and a half. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've been here from the start, or if you joined kind of later, or if you're here right now, thank you so much for listening. There's only a couple of you, but each one of you is so special. See you next week with a new game. I'll figure out what that is sometime this week. And until then, please continue to play what you enjoy to play, what your friends enjoy to play, and continue to world build and tell stories among them. As every stream ends, take care of yourself, have a great night, and stay frosty.